I gotta say that saying today is a beautiful day is a massive understatement to be out on a winter overnight backpacking trip. But I've already made some dumb mistakes before I even left the house. I forgot my snowshoes, my micro spikes, and my gaiters. I don't know what I was thinking. So I really hope that that doesn't cause any issue with being out on the trail today, especially once I get off the trail to where I have planned to camp. But we'll see. So here in the Wasatch Mountains as of late, we've had some really dangerous avalanche conditions that has made going out into the backcountry just totally not an option. Last week we had a complete black rose on all aspects of the avalanche forecast, which means don't go outside. But today the forecast is a lot better. I feel pretty comfortable being out, just still being smart. And the whole purpose of being out today is to test gear. And I've got one specific piece of gear that I'm really excited about, and it's the whole reason that we are out on this overnight trip today. Now, speaking of testing gear, one of the gear items that I'm testing on this trip is the Kilos Gear AeroCloud sleeping pad. They recently reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to check out our new sleeping pad? So Kilos Gear is actually sponsoring this video today, and grateful for that from them. Sponsors are a huge help for the channel. But I said, let me take it out into the field. Let me go on a winter backpacking trip with it and talk about it, sleep on it, and what my first impressions are with the sleeping pad in real world conditions, sleeping on the snow, etc. It does have a claimed R value of 5, so temperatures down to the 20s tonight should be a really good test to see how this pad functions. So I'm gonna find a spot to camp here in this big open area, kind of tucked into the trees a little bit. But once we get camp set up, we'll pull the pad out, we'll talk about it more, and just get a general idea of what we're working with. Well, we're gonna make do with this the best we can. I just feel so stupid for forgetting my snowshoes. Man, I could have got this far without them, but I'm post-holing and it's gonna be such a pain for me to get this all done. But at least I've got my shovel, so I'm gonna dig out as much as I can, and we'll just try to create a really nice tent platform and see how well it freezes up so I can at least walk around on it. So let's get digging. Got a pit dug, at least enough to get down to some more solid snow and to tamp it down enough that it's gonna freeze a bit more, just make it easier to pitch my tent essentially. I need to dig a little bit more. Okay, so this is the Kilos Gear AeroCloud sleeping pad. Now, I first came across this pad from actually seeing it in some social media feeds, just ads that you typically see on social media. Then when they reached out to me, I was like, yeah, let's check this thing out, because it comes in at a nice price point of $149, which it has a lot of the features that you see on much more expensive pads. So I'm really intrigued to see how it does in a comfort standpoint, but also in the conditions that I've got it out in right now. Sleeping on the snow, temperatures are gonna drop to mid-20s probably tonight. So this is a great test to see how the claimed R value of 5 really does in these kinds of conditions. Now, the insulation in here is pretty cool, and it's kind of like a Mylar type of film that has a synthetic insulation attached to it. So I wanna see how it does in just creating that barrier and making it possible for you to sleep warm. Now, it's a pretty large pad. It's just shy of 80 inches long, and it's 26 inches wide. So there's a lot of space to move around on this pad. So that'll be interesting as well in, is it too much pad for me to keep my body warm, basically, because there's so much extra fabric and stuff that is exposed that could collect cold and not be as warm as I want it to be. So I'm gonna keep that in mind. The fabric is a bit more plasticky than I would like, but it's not terrible. At 149 bucks, I think if this does a good job tonight, this could be a really nice option, but we'll see. We'll see how it does. getting some layers on. It's starting to chill off a little bit. Got everything pretty much set up at this point. That's gonna feel nice. Man, it is such a beautiful night, and I love this time of day. That blue hour right before it gets totally dark. It's so peaceful, it's so quiet. And where I'm at, there is no one else here. Like, it is fantastic. I haven't always enjoyed winter camping, and I dreaded it for a long time because I'm like, I don't want to be cold. But when you commit to a short amount of time, go out and just enjoy one night at a time, it's a great way to get out all 4 seasons and just enjoy yourself. And I enjoy the aspect of being able to test gear in all sorts of conditions and environments and temperatures. And so we're at about freezing right now. It's about 32, 31 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's going to be a great test for this sleeping pad because we're going to be in mid-20s overnight. I'm on top of the snow and I'm in a quilt system that means I don't have any other insulation against my back. So this will be a really nice way to see, does this pad insulate and give protection? So we'll give a full report as we're laying on it and in the morning how it does. But right now, I'm gonna get some dinner going. We're gonna enjoy the rest of the night. When I get in the tent, we'll chat more about the pad. All right, so I've got some observations with the pad so far. I've been laying on it here in the tent for a good hour and a half or so at this point. It is 28 degrees Fahrenheit outside. It's 33 degrees Fahrenheit inside the tent here. I've got 2 different Bluetooth thermometers. And the observation that I'm making is the pad is not cold. Like, I am warm and comfortable and enjoying myself. But because the pad is so wide, being 26 inches wide, there's a lot of surface area of the pad touching a lot of cold. So it's more difficult, I think, for my body to essentially warm up the air between my back and the insulation in the pad. And so it's not as warm as it could be. We'll see how it goes through the night. But so far, that's my observation. Just trying to be honest, transparent, but I'm enjoying it. It's really comfortable and I'm ready to sleep. So I think we'll do that, and we'll give you another full report in the morning. So see you in the morning. Good morning to you. Had an interesting but an enjoyable night of sleep, and pretty impressed with the performance of the pad, to be quite honest. Considering the conditions that I'm putting it through, this thing did well. And I'm happy about that because, if I'm being honest, I was kind of expecting the worst. Just from the sense that you never know how a new piece of gear is going to work out. And bringing it out into winter conditions on the snow, I've already talked about it several times, can really be a huge test for a piece of gear like this that's not necessarily rated for winter conditions. It's such a beautiful morning. The sunrise was fantastic today. I just love seeing the light on the snow on the mountains. Makes it worth it coming out, that's for sure. All right, let's talk about sleeping pads here for a second, because I think it's really important to understand that there's a lot that goes into how a sleeping pad is going to perform. And it's not just, okay, this pad has an R value of 5, so therefore I'm going to sleep warm on it. Now, last night, my experience with this pad was very positive. Minus, I had one glaring cold spot right on my butt through the entire night that just happened to be probably where the lowest part of my body was, closest to the snow. So therefore, I wasn't able to get as much insulation value out of the pad from that. But otherwise, this did really well considering the conditions that I've put it through. And what I mean by that is the fact that you're on top of snow, you have ambient temperatures that are below freezing, and you've got other conditions that really do make it possible for a pad to perform as it's supposed to or not perform at all. And some of those other factors to really keep in mind when it comes to a sleeping pad is the size of the pad can play a huge part into how warm the pad is going to be. Because this pad is so large, it's a lot of surface area for the air inside of the pad to basically warm up around the insulation and then be able to stay warm against your body. It's not like a full-on reflection bouncing heat back up to your body. You're warming up the air in the pad. And if you've got a lot of exposed area to the cold, then it's going to be tricky for the pad to do what it's supposed to do. And with this pad being so large, I absolutely experienced that. So I feel like if this pad was a bit smaller in size, my experience could have been a little bit different. Now, yes, I did have a good experience with this, but would I take this out on another winter trip like this in these conditions? No. And the reason being is I usually would want a higher R value for the trips that I'm going on in the winter. So I would absolutely want to have some kind of closed cell foam pad underneath this to create a little bit of a break between me and the snow, because that's another important key to remember is if you are sleeping on really cold ground, frozen ground, the snow, that's going to make a pad react a little bit different than if you are in an area where the ground is not completely frozen, but it does get down to really cold temperatures, maybe freezing overnight. That pad is going to perform differently in those conditions. I'm really glad that I got out, tested the Kilos Gear AeroCloud pad. This is comfortable. I am not even joking about that in any way. I slept really nice last night on this. I was warm enough and I enjoyed my experience with the pad. So I just opened up the valve here on the pad and thought I'd show you. This is what that insulation looks like on the inside of the pad. It's kind of a synthetic type insulation. And then you've got, it's like attached to a like Mylar type of film underneath. So it's going to give you some of that protection from the cold on the bottom, but then also help insulate from the top. So pretty cool. There you go. Well, it has been a fantastic morning. Just really enjoyed everything about this quick overnight trip. And now we're making our way on the trail and headed out. Well, it was a lot of fun to come out and do some gear testing and really focus on that AeroCloud sleeping pad. I'm really looking forward to getting more time with it in a little bit warmer conditions and maybe not sleeping right on top of the snow. I'm pleased with it and look forward to more time with it because it's very comfortable and it's also pretty lightweight for how big it is at about 24 ounces. So I'm not gonna complain about that at all. So if you want to check it out, want to get more information, I got a link down in the description for you to go check out the AeroCloud and see what you think for yourself. But I want to thank Kilos Gear for sponsoring the video and making it possible for me to get out and do some gear testing. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't. Check out my Patreon page. I'm pretty active on there, working on sharing early access to videos, getting thoughts on future content, and just connecting more with you, my audience, and would love your support there. So link for that also down in the description. But hope you guys have an awesome day and that you're enjoying the winter season. We'll catch you on the next one. See you later.